Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Hiking Journal. In this episode, I take a quick solo hike to one of the lesser-known peaks in the Cahuilla Mountain wilderness of Riverside County. I'll also stop by the Red Mountain Fire Lookout in the San Bernardino National Forest. Although the much larger and more prominent peaks such as nearby San Jacinto and San Gorgonio Mountain garner most of the hikers' attention in these parts, there is some great hiking that can be had at the more obscure peaks. If it's peace and solitude you're seeking, then why not try a couple of mountains in the Cahuilla Mountain wilderness? The larger of the two is Cahuilla Mountain. At an elevation of 5,525 feet, it puts you high in the pines and has some great views. I've been up there on several occasions and posted a video of my adventure back in April of 2020. On this adventure, I head up to Cahuilla Mountain's little brother, known as Little Cahuilla Mountain. What the little brother loses in altitude, it's only about 500 feet shorter, it definitely makes up for in attitude. You see, there's no real trail to the summit of Little Cahuilla like there is on the Big Brother. In fact, there's not even a marker where you start the hike. In doing some research for this adventure, I discovered that there wasn't even a page for it on my favorite hiking app, All Trails. Well, sort of, and I'll explain that here in a second. Looking at my topographic maps, it appears that the most logical approach is directly up the ridgeline to the west, climbing up past 3 distinct hilltops, then dropping down into a small saddle, before climbing steeply up to the top. Looks doable, but doesn't it always on the map? On a Google search, I found a link to a map with a GPS track on the Sierra Club's 100 Peaks section. I downloaded it and popped it into my GPS for backup, just in case I got lost. I also located a hidden page in the All Trails app under Community Content. Here I discovered that another hiker had posted his hiking route at Little Cahuilla. I downloaded it as well and I overlaid it on my map for a comparison. Looked like a pretty good match. It started at the same place, went up and over the 3 sub-peaks, and it also dropped down into the saddle before climbing to the summit. Confident I had a pretty good idea where I was heading, I drove the Jeep toward the Cahuilla Indian Reservation and made a turn toward the rough dirt truck trail known as 6S22. Now, 6S22 is a National Forest truck trail that traverses the entire length of the Cahuilla Mountain wilderness, from the paved turnoff at Trip Flats, a rough bone-jarring 9 miles, all the way to the Red Mountain Lookout. Now, I've been up this dirt trail many times in my Jeep, and I've never really needed 4-wheel drive. That doesn't mean it's easy. It still beats up your kidneys, but you can reach both the parking areas for the Cahuilla Mountain Trail in about 2.5 miles, or the Little Cahuilla Mountain starting point, or so they say, in about 5. If you're brave enough, you could try to set out for the Red Mountain Fire Lookout, but I gotta warn you, it's a whopping 9 miles out each way, and the route is along a narrow, twisted truck trail with some pretty huge drop-offs to the east. It was a white-knuckle ride for sure. Luckily, on my adventure, I didn't have to pass any other vehicles in either direction, and God only knows I would have been able to. Well, let's head up to the Cahuilla Mountain Wilderness in search of Little Cahuilla Mountain. In today's adventure, we're going to be out in Anza, California, which is in Riverside County. And this is Cahuilla Mountain right there. It's one of the lesser known peaks in Riverside County, but it does have some very historical significance. And I've been up there before a few times, and that's not what today's adventure is about. Today's adventure is that other peak over there, a lesser known peak called Little Cahuilla Mountain. And there's not really a trail to get to the top of that. It's going to be some bushwhacking involved to get up there, but it's going to be an interesting journey. It's also going to be kind of a long, about a 7-mile, I believe, or 5-mile off-road dirt truck trail to get there. So it'll be kind of a bone-jarring ascent as we go farther up toward the trailhead. And it's a nice, cool day. Ought to be a good adventure. Well, this is also the turn. If you go to the right, you go to Trip Flats. There's a ranger station, a wilderness ranger station. And this is the off-road trail that heads up toward the Cahuilla Mountain trailhead. And if you keep going, you'll eventually end up all the way out at the Red Mountain Fire Lookout. So that's where we're heading today, 6S22. Now, this is a new sign. The other sign that was back there was pretty much abandoned. And it makes sense now because they've got this nice new sign here. It talks about where you are. Marks the trail real nice. Talks about people on motorcycles and ATVs up here riding, make sure that they're legal and they have the necessary equipment to travel without creating a fire danger. And we'll continue up the trail. Well, I'm heading up 6S22. I was kind of fortunate that a couple of days ago we got a little bit of rain, and hopefully that'll keep the dust down today as we travel up this dusty road. We're going to have some tremendous views today. As we look out toward the desert and toward San Jacinto, we might see a little bit of haze, and it's more likely dirt that's blown up because we have a little bit of a Santa Ana wind event over the next, well, yesterday was really windy. We had almost hurricane force winds up in LA County, 60, almost 70 miles an hour. And then out here, even at my house, we had 30-mile-an-hour winds. So hopefully that'll clear out some of the gunk, but with it also stirs up some of the dirt and dust. And since it's been such a dry year, there's quite a bit of that today. But we'll get great views of San Jacinto. We should be able to see over towards San Gorgonio, and if we get to the right location, in fact, I'm pretty sure we will, we'll actually get a view all the way to Mount Baldy as I'm going down this rough truck trail. I don't have it four-wheel drive. I don't need it. The trail is really bone dry, so I have passed a couple of puddles, but for the most part, they were easy to just drive around. I don't really expect to see, expect to see anybody else on the trail today. There'll definitely probably not be anybody on the hiking portion of the trail. We might run into Forest Service, guy driving around checking the roads, maybe an off-roader or two, but I actually even doubt that. But in the meantime, I got to navigate these potholes and this rough truck trail, and up here pretty soon, like that's Cahuilla Mountain behind me out the window. In a little while here, we'll come to the actual parking area for the Cahuilla Mountain Trail. And like I said, that's not where we're going. We're going to go past that toward the parking area for Little Cahuilla Mountain, even though it's not marked. And I do have an outstanding view to my right, looking to the north and east. I guess it's north and east. Maybe it's just east toward Idlewild. And in fact, actually up here in front of me, I can see Little Cahuilla Mountain. Now, if you're going to be doing the Cahuilla Mountain Trail, you would be going to the left. You'd be parking right here, and then just to the left over there on the other side of these bushes is the actual trailhead for Cahuilla Mountain. And this is the start of the Cahuilla Mountain Trail. Looks like the sign has been completely removed. And people that don't know where it is would probably have a difficult time finding it, because you basically go right in the split of the barbed wire fence. That's where the trail starts. And this is another trail junction. I'm going to stay on the 6S22 as it heads up toward Little Cahuilla. The other one over there, the 7S04, is the one that heads down toward Juan Diego Flats and eventually works its way all the way out through the other end of the valley. And here's another great view looking, I guess this would be southwest, looking toward Juan Diego Flats and mountains off in the distance. And in front of me to the right is going to be Little Cahuilla. When I looked at the weather yesterday, and even a couple of days ago, we had a little cold front blew in, and they actually got some snow at the upper elevations in the Big Bear area, and these mountains aren't as high. Cahuilla Mountain's only about 5,400 feet, and Little Cahuilla is about a little over 5,000. So I doubt we're going to see any snow at the top. But they did say the overall nighttime low was supposed to be near freezing. And I was a little worried that as we got a little higher up here, this road might see some patches of ice. But it doesn't look like it. Right now it's 43. Daytime high is supposed to be 51. We'll see. That ought to make for good climbing weather. Like I said, this trail's really overgrown. There's no real marked, maintained trail, so there's going to be a lot of bushwhacking. And normally I wear a kilt on my hikes or shorts, and on this one I brought pants. So I'm going to need pants today. I'm also wearing boots and not sandals. And I do have a route that I got from somebody else's track that they left from a previous ascent of Little Cahuilla Mountain. So I do have something to go on as I work my way up. But for the most part, from what I read, you can kind of sort of see where you're heading the whole way. But there's a lot of manzanita, a lot of cianthus, and a lot of buckbrush and everything else. So there's going to be some bushwhacking. I hope to get out of this unscathed with no scratches or cuts. Hopefully I won't tear my pants or my LL Bean wool shirt. But we'll see. Should be reaching the trailhead, or what they consider the trailhead, pretty soon. Well, I reached the the trailhead, so to speak. This is at the junction of a couple of different truck trails. And what sets this one apart is this ominous cross, J.B. Blummer, rest in peace. And there's also a mine up this road. It's obviously closed, it's private property. This road goes past that gate. There's several different roads that go to the top up there. There's 3 separate mine sites, supposedly. Never been up there, but that's what they say. And as I spin around here, you get a little better view of what we're looking at. Way off in the distance, you can see you can see San Gorgonio way off in the distance over there, so that's a good view. And as you kind of spin around, you'll see the different peaks in this range, and over there in the distance is our trailhead. And like I said, there's no real marked trail here. They do have this sign, no motor vehicles, but this is about as good as the trail is going to get, I think, down here at this lower section. Well, good morning and welcome back to another edition of the Journal. Today I'm going to be heading up this direction here. It's not really a marked trail per se. It's the trail up to Little Cahuilla Mountain. Cahuilla Mountain is over this direction. It's one of the more prominent peaks out here in Anza, California. This one's a little lesser known. There's no big pine trees at the top, no big giant rock outcrop with tremendous views. There should be some pretty good views once we get up there, but I've seen some of the summit pictures, and it's not really that great of a spot to take a picnic lunch or anything, but we're going to go up there. I've never been there before. I've seen it a million times as I've driven this road over the years, and today we're going to go up there. It's going to involve some bushwhacking. There's lots of manzanita. There's lots of brush that's encroached on the trail, and we'll see how I do. I did bring a machete with me. Maybe I can clear some of this back for the next person that comes up this way. It's not that far of a hike. It's only about, I think, 2.5 or 2.7 round trips. It ought to be pretty quick. It does involve some elevation. It's about, I think, 1,500 feet of gain, something like that, maybe. There's a couple little whoop-de-doos you got to go up and over. I read you have to go over 4,200 or something several times. There's some false summits. Then at the end, you drop down into a saddle, and you come back up to the push to the summit, and it's kind of a bushwhack. So we'll see how this goes today. But in the meantime, I'm going to start up the trail to Little Cahuilla Mountain. And you can see what I'm going to get myself into today. I'm only 50 feet up the trail. And like I said, it's not really well marked, and it's going to involve a lot of bushwhacking. It's going to have some good views though. And I did bring a different pack today. I brought a kind of a cheaper pack. It's real narrow, which might help getting through this brush today. And it's also 1,000 denier cordura, so it should take the abuse. And because it's smaller, can't put as much in it, so it's a little lighter. And if I ruin it, I don't care, because it was like, I think, 10 bucks at Marshall's. Meantime, gonna go plow through some brush. Whew, it's pretty steep. I also read that there were several cairns along the way. So there's one there and one there. But it also looks like you could go that way. But I'm assuming this is the direction they want me to go. We'll see. And as I've been climbing, you do have a great view looking toward Idlewild. San Jacinto is over there. You can probably make out the head of Strawberry Valley and Tahquitz Peak and Ansel Rock and Red Tahquitz and South Peak as you work your way along the Idlewild Divide. The mountain in the background right there, that's actually Thomas Mountain. The higher peak on the right is Thomas Mountain, and the one to the left is Little Thomas Mountain. And of course the peak right there is where the mine is. You can see the road heading up to the mine, and then way down in the bottom, down there, is where I parked the Jeep. And that's Success 22, which is the road that I came on as I went through the little gap right there. And at the confluence of those two ridges is the actual trailhead up at the top of Cahuilla Mountain. But of course, that's not where I'm going. I'm going up this direction. And it's opening up a little bit. I'm sure there's sections that are worse than others, but so far so good. So far, everybody's been right. The trail has been fairly easy to follow. You do have to keep your eyes open, but for the most part, at the sketchy sections, there are a few cairns. Not the biggest of cairns, but at least something that you know is not natural, so you know this is the right path as I head up. And here's another well-placed cairn, so you know you're on the right path. And just gotta get around it here. The one thing I did want to mention while I'm up here is this manzanita is ribbon wood, and you can tell because the way it shreds. And the other thing I'm a little concerned about, as you should probably always be up here, is this is definitely rattlesnake country, and there are also ticks up here. In fact, there is a redshank manzanita. It's a little different than the ribbonwood, but I also have a phenomenal view from right here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Off in the distance there, that's San Gorgonio. And it looks like it got a little bit of snow. You can't really see Baldy, it's way off on the left and it's in the haze. But you can see down towards San Bernardino. And of course that's a better shot of Idlewild. And it looks like they didn't get much snow, if any at all. Still pretty up here. And the other thing I wanted to mention is it's kind of nice that this trail is oriented. And of course that's just because of the mountain location, but it's to the west of me. So as the sun rises in the east, I am hiking the opposite direction, so I don't have the sun in my eyes, which is nice. Another view down toward Juan Diego Flats, which is down in that direction as I'm continuing up. And we do have a great view from up here. That's looking toward Mount Palomar. In fact, you probably can't make it out in the video, but way off in the distance, you can actually see High Point Lookout and the Hale Telescope on top of Palomar. But that's where we're headed. We have to climb several peaks, small peaks, and then we have to drop down into that saddle before getting up to the top. So you know what? This hike really isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Jeez. Well, in case you were wondering, there isn't a all trails page for this peak. There is for Cahuilla Mountain, but not this one, not Little Cahuilla. So maybe when I'm done here, I can upload a track or route. Maybe I can contribute to the page, and people in the future will be able to know how to get up here. The views are definitely worth it. When you're doing Cahuilla Mountain, you don't really get that good of a view off toward San Jacinto and Baldy, but on this one you do, because it's further to the east. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a deer up here. This is so remote. Nobody comes up here. Well, just when I said bushwhacking wasn't so bad, the trail kind of ended. So I'll go a little ways here and see if it continues. If not, I might have veered off path somewhere. But it looks like this could very well be it. It just involves some scrambling. It looks like to the left I see an opening. So maybe I missed something somewhere. Looks like I can go left here. Okay, I'm back on the trail. Well, maybe the trail was over there. I didn't see it, but made it through nonetheless. So I'm continuing up. Alright, well, as I'm nearing the upper portions of this little small summit, I've definitely been doing some bushwhacking. Got a couple of slaps in the face already. Nothing too bad. Haven't torn my shirt that I'm aware of yet. And you can see where I'm going eventually. But like I said, the lower half of the trail was pretty well defined and easy to follow. This section, not so much. We'll see where it goes here as I'm trapped in the Manzanita. All right, well, that was a difficult section there. It totally came to an end. And I went right, got stuck in some really thick Manzanita. Went left, got even thicker. And then, luckily enough, I saw a little glimmer of sand ahead. And I popped through some more thick Manzanita. Now I'm back into an open area, so I got through that section. That's going to be difficult to get through on the way back. Well, to give you an idea where I'm at, I've been plowing my way through brush for the last hour. You can see where 6S22 comes up from that notch. Right at the confluence of those two dirt roads. One goes up to the mine and one is 6S22 where the Jeep is. I worked my way up and over that first peak, down in the valley, back up to the second peak, down in the valley, and then up to this peak here, which I believe is the, I think it's 4930, I think. And I believe that right there is Cahuilla Mountain, the Little Cahuilla Mountain. I know it's got a very rocky summit. There is a rocky summit right there. I believe that's it. I'm not 100% sure without getting out the map or looking at the GPS. And if I can work my way through the brush at this end, which doesn't look too bad, I have to drop down 150 feet into the valley bottom on the other side before I scramble up to the top. But so far, all has been good. Like I said, we've got tremendous views of San Gorgonio and all of Idlewild and over toward Thomas Mountain, and way off in the distance over there, if you can make that out, that's actually Hot Springs Mountain, which is the tallest peak in San Diego County. And of course, as I swing right, there's obviously Cahuilla Mountain. And then way off in the distance, that pointy peak down there is High Point Lookout, which is the highest point in the Palomar Range, and you can barely make out the Palomar Observatory, the Hale Telescope that little round white dome on the horizon line there, but that's not where I'm going. I got to finish this hike. I got to get up there so I can take a break. And like I said, I'm going to have to go down to the bottom of this valley and then work my way up to the top. So that part's going to suck. Hopefully, there'll be some resemblance of a path. It does look like I see some type of vertical line or horizontal line going from the upper left down to the lower right, about halfway up. That could very well be my path. I guess I'll find out here in a minute. Well, they said there'd be some bushwhacking, and so far the first half wasn't bad. The second half, not so much. It seems like the upper elevations are a little more open, but down here you can see how bad the trail is overgrown. I would love to see the California Conservation Corps somehow make their way up here one day and thin some of this back. Looks like the manzanita is not so bad. It's the other stuff that's the killer. It's the stuff that's always in the way. I can't imagine hiking this in shorts. It would be a blood fest. That's for sure. And I'm definitely going to have to do a tick check when I get home. Luckily, I'm wearing light colored pants and a light colored shirt. I might even strip down when I get back to the trailhead and do a cursory inspection and see. Hopefully not, but you never know. Nice little opening. First one I've seen in a while. Climb to the top of Little Cahuilla. It'll be fun, they say. Well, at this point, I'm not having a lot of fun. I'm getting there. Like I said, it's not the manzanita. It's this stuff right here. It definitely needs to be cut back. And if I were to take out my machete, I'd be whacking every 3 feet. So I'm going to continue up, plowing through the brush. Alright, well that was the tricky section there. I totally could not find the trail. I went down 3 different directions. Unless you're standing right on top of it, looking straight down at your feet, in that section, back up there, you won't see it. I almost resorted to pulling out my GPS because I do have a route. So worst comes to worst, I could very well just pull out my GPS and punch in the summit and follow the route to the top, but so far I haven't had to do that. I'm almost at the bottom of the little valley here. Hopefully my path will be visible. This is kind of an odd find here. This dead brown vine is actually wild cucumber, and normally you don't see wild cucumber on a dry, exposed area. They must get some water up here at some point, but you don't see those too often. As I'm plowing through the brush. All right, well, this is where I've come from. Back over there in that confluence of the 2 dirt roads. That's where I started. Those are all the humps I've gone up and over. Here's the valley that you drop down to, and this side has been tough. It's the northeast facing slope. It gets more water in the rain and snow, and so therefore the brush is thicker and grows faster than the southwest, more arid slopes. But As you can see, I'm not that far from what I hope is the top. Up there somewhere is that rock pile. Guess I'll find out in a few minutes. It's this stuff. This is the stuff that's killing me right now. It's catching on everything. Well, I just busted through some pretty thick brush. And I believe that's it. Let's go check it out. That, my friends, is the top of Little Cahuilla Mountain. I'm pretty sure, seen some pictures. Looks like I got to do a little scrambling to get there. Go this way, maybe. Yeah, I think that's it. That's my view looking toward Palomar. Now we have to go up and see if we can find the summit register. There's actually 2 ammo cans, or 2 coffee cans. So we're gonna go up there and check it out. Well, finally I reached the summit of Little Cahuilla. That's the summit register in that can right there. And this is the view from the top. This is looking, I would imagine, east towards San Gorgonio. And San Jacinto is that direction. Thomas Mountain, I've already talked about some of those peaks. You can see the confluence of the roads. That's where I came from. Those are the sub-peaks I went up and over. I came up this valley right here. And got a great view way off in the distance. I'll zoom in there. Looks like that could very well be, I'm gonna guess and say, Diamond Valley Lake. I'm assuming that's what that is. As we look over towards Saddleback Mountain. There's Saddleback way off in the distance. Oh, sorry, I can't see it. Sorry about that. Looks like Saddleback, maybe way off in the distance. There's a good breeze up here. It feels nice. I'm just gonna have to find a spot to sit so I can make my lunch. But first, I'm gonna have to sign in on that register right there. Well, it looks like I made it up here. To the top of Little Cahuilla Mountain. Looks like here's the summit register. I bet it's been a while since somebody's been up here. Let's see what they say. And there is a pencil, thank God. All right, check this out. It's kind of a slope here, so it's kind of hard to tell. Wow, it looks like I'm gonna get my reading glasses out here. Looks like it's been a while since somebody's been up here. Wow, the last entry right there is from what looks like, I'm gonna see if I can find a spot to sit here. Looks like the last entry was Steve Russell from Batista Canyon. All the way back on the 21st of May. So I guess I can add my name to the list. Wrote a little note here, so I'll put this back inside. This is nice and dry inside this bag, that's nice. Now I'm going to double bag it. this is going to go inside this cap. Get it in there. And then the can is going to go on top. Right back down there. Nice and secure. Well, I finally made it at the top of Little Cahuilla Peak. It's got quite the tremendous views from up here. And even though I did bring a stove, I decided to bring this. This is actually kind of nice. This is a Stanley food jar. My daughter got this for me for my birthday, I think, a couple of years ago. Never actually used it. It's basically a thermos, but it's a small size. It's a ½ liter. It's designed for food, like soup or stew or something. And so today, I brought one of my old camp favorites, chili mac. So I'm going to eat my chili mac up here on the top. And it's still hot, pretty warm. I'm going to enjoy this tremendous view. It's so clear up here. You have a good view of San Gorgonio and the snow, and view of San Jacinto and all the other peaks from here. You know, you got a pretty good view of almost all of the high peaks in Southern California. I can't really see Baldy just because it's, well, I can kind of, you won't be able to see it, but I can barely make it out in the haze. But, you know, that's LA County High Point, and San Gorgonio, San Bernardino High Point. San Jacinto is Riverside's high point, and then off that direction is Hot Springs Mountain on the Los Coyotes Indian Reservation. That's actually San Diego's county high point. And then off the other direction, I can actually see Saddleback or Santiago Peak, which is the Orange County high point. So you got quite the tremendous 360 view from here. But it was work getting up here. I'm not going to lie to you. There was some serious bushwhacking. You know, the first half of the trail wasn't so bad. It was fairly open, and the manzanita was clipped back pretty nice. There were some cairns and some strategic spots. But as I got further up, the little hard work that somebody else has done before me has gotten less and less. I think as they got higher up and they did more bushwhack, I think they ran out of energy. So, especially the northeast face was pretty bad down here. I was plowing through some pretty thick stuff. And it's pretty chilly up here. I got a really good view and a breeze coming in off that direction right into my face. So I had to definitely put on the wool shirt. And I might wear it on the way down just for the sake of protection from the brush. I do have a couple of nicks and scrapes in my arm. I'm bleeding a little bit, but not too bad. But in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy my chili mac up here at Little Cahuilla Mountain. Well, I'm working my way down from Little Cahuilla. I reached the bottom of the valley. Now I'm working my way steadily uphill, a steep section. But I wanted to show you this one thing here. Here, the trail kind of splits. Looks like one goes that way, and one could very easily go that way. But what somebody has done is they've placed a cairn here on this rock. And if you notice, most of the rocks are on the left side, which to me tells you that's the correct way. And that rock that's sticking up behind the yucca up there, I remember that coming down, and this was the section where it got all convoluted, especially toward the top. So hopefully it'll be easier to follow on the way back than it was on the way out here. And since I'm out of breath, I might as well tell you that dirt road on the right, that truck trail is a continuation of 6S22, which goes to the top of that hill right there with a communication tower on it. That is Red Mountain Lookout. So when I get done with a hike here, I might take a drive up there, check it out. I don't think it's open, it's probably closed, but never been there. Looks like it's got a tremendous view, so it's probably worth it. Well, I just got my first glimpse of the Jeep on the hill here. This has been a tough hike. Distance-wise, it's not that far. Just a couple of miles. It's under 3 round trip. But what you got to take into account is the serious bushwhacking, manzanita, and everything else. Lost the trail several times. Some places had cairns, which was great. A lot of places didn't. I kept reading about look for the clipped manzanita, never saw any. But I'll show you a view here. I'll flip this around. And there's the car down there. So I'm almost back. What's that old saying? Can't see the forest for the trees? Well, that's what this is. It's a forest of ribbonwood manzanita. It's a little easier to see the trail coming back than going up. But just because it's easier to see doesn't mean it's easier to navigate. Because you still have to duck, bend and twist, and this is not a place for a wide pack. I'm almost down here. I got a few, I don't know, 100 feet of decline and a tenth of a mile maybe to get back to the Jeep. Meantime, I got to try to get down this loose, slippery gravel without falling and busting my ass. Well, and there you have it. Looks like I'm pretty much back to the Jeep. I survived Little Cahuilla Mountain unscathed for the most part. I did get a couple of scratches on my arm that are bleeding, but nothing major. I don't know if I'll ever come back up here and do this hike again. If I do, I'm definitely going to bring more body armor, that's for sure. But could take a good break. Then I'm going to continue down this road, and I'm going to see what the Red Mountain Fire Lookout looks like. All right, let's take a break. Well, after washing down the trail dust and bits of brush that lodged in my throat with an ice cold beer I had in the Jeep, I decided to take the tough drive up to see the Red Mountain Fire Lookout. Now, Red Mountain is at an elevation of 4,573 feet, and it's located in the southern part of the San Bernardino National Forest, southeast of Hemet. Besides having the best views of the southern San Jacinto Mountains, Red Mountain also overlooks parts of the towns of Anza, the entire Cahuilla Indian Reservation, Reed Valley, Batista Canyon, and it's also got a great view of the Diamond Valley Reservoir and Lake Skinner. Now, Red Mountain is also the youngest lookout on the San Bernardino National Forest, and it was constructed in 1937 by the Civilian Conservation Corps. Stick around for some tremendous views from the top of the lookout and views of the area where Juan Batista de Anza traveled through on his historic expedition in 1776. Well, I'm driving up to Red Mountain Lookout. It's kind of a rough road. It's the continuation of 6S22, and it's a very narrow road. I would hate to have to try to pass another vehicle as I'm driving up here, but luckily this is a Tuesday, midweek in the fall, so there's not a lot of traffic up here, and I wouldn't be surprised if the fire lookout is closed, but I at least want to see it. And I'm getting fairly close, but this road is not making it any easier on me. And it looks like there's my first glimpse of the Red Mountain Lookout and the communication towers. I should be there in a moment. Well, I made it up to the top of Red Mountain. That's the Red Mountain Fire Lookout Tower that's behind me here. They got tremendous views from up here. It's pretty obvious why they picked this location for a fire tower, because I have views from Mount Palomar all the way around towards Saddleback Peak in Orange County and all of Diamond Valley Reservoir, and back over this direction I've got Thomas Mountain and Hot Springs Mountain, and I got a complete view of Tahquitz and all of San Jacinto. And then also over in this direction I actually have a view toward San Gorgonio, so got a phenomenal view from up here. And there's also some communications equipment here too. I imagine not only is this a good spot for a fire lookout tower, but it's a good spot for a repeater as well. So I'm going to take a walk up to the fire tower. It looks like there's a fire service volunteer that's working today. His vehicle is here, so looks like I'm going to be able to go up to the top and walk around a little bit. Well, what do you say we take a walk up the top of the fire tower here? I have to admit, this is one of the steepest sets of stairs I've ever seen. This is pretty much straight up. And since the volunteer is here today, we're going to go in and say hi. This is definitely a place you need a handrail. Let's take a look around the what a view. There's San Gorgonio in the distance. Over there is San Jacinto, Thomas Mountain, Hot Springs Mountain, Cahuilla Mountain. What a tremendous view from up here. And from up here, you can really see Diamond Valley Reservoir way off in the distance. It's a little chilly wind. It's only about 40 up here, and that wind's blowing. You can definitely feel it. Well, I just left the Red Mountain Fire Lookout Tower. I had a really good, interesting conversation with the Fire Lookout volunteer, Richard Hart, retired school teacher. He's been up here for years and years, working up various fire towers in different locations in the San Bernardino National Forest. Gave me an interest card, so when I get home, I want to fill this out. Maybe someday you'll see me up here in a fire tower. In the meantime, I got to somehow work my way down the road and get down the mountain. There's a couple of geocaches down here as well, so I don't know if I'm going to take the time to look them up, but you never know. It's a nice, cool day. It's been an enjoyable trip. Had a nice hike up to the top of Cahuilla Mountain, and my little impromptu visit here at the Red Mountain Lookout. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this episode of the Journal. I'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Well, that'll do it for this episode of the Hiking Journal, my solo adventure to the summit of Little Cahuilla Mountain, and my visit to the historic Red Mountain Fire Lookout. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button to get the latest outdoor adventures of the Journal, and stay tuned for some new adventures. Alrighty, take care. Bye-bye.